Welcome to the show with no name for Friday, May 17th, 2013. I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha and Gavin Murdoch. Hey, what do you hear about Panera? Is that open or not? Was there supposed to be a Panera in the Target Plaza?
Yes, there is.
Is it?
They were building it. I don't know if they're
It's
open.
been
yet.
open.
Is it open?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Panera Bread. Oh, inside Target?
Well, no. In the
so-
plaza someplace.
Yeah, it's open.
Oh.
Have you been there?
No,
Yeah, then how do you know it's open?
other people have. I don't.
He got the word.
Yes.
Okay, because, this is one of the most important things going on.
Bread?
What?
Bread?
Well, Panera, That's what everybody's talking about.
It's the bread of life. Who's
They are.
everybody?
Yes.
Who's talking about it?
Everybody.
Oh, I guess I got left out of that conversation.
By the way, speaking of Panera, I see that Dominic Stagliano announced he's running for county executive last night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice article in the paper this morning about it.
And I'm happy about that.
He looked very strong, assertive, bald. Should get the hairless vote lined up. Now, in all seriousness, we've known Dominic for quite a while. He's been on the well, it was on the old show anyway. I don't know if he's been on any of our podcasts. He meant to be one time, I remember, but maybe he was. Has he been on since?
Not since I've been.
No? Okay, well, we've talked to him.
Very knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable. There's a lot of things. Well, first of all, let me say this. There are maybe, if I were to pick the person I would want to be the first executive of Montgomery County, it's a real short list. Because, the first guy's got to be George Washington.
He's got to be knowledgeable about
Millard Fillmore can come later, but the first guy's got to be George Washington.
Okay.
So, our co-host Michael Chiara is certainly on my list. Straight as an arrow, honest, knowledgeable, not afraid to take a stand. I'm on the list because,
Of course.
because I just put myself on the list.
Just because.
You want somebody who agrees with you on most things, you might as well pick
you.
yourself. You might as well be me. But I'll tell you, it gets short after that, and Dominic's at the top of the list of the rest of the short. And Michael's not running, and I'm not running.
Has anybody else expressed any interest in actually
There are
running?
names that keep popping around. I don't know how serious they are. Certainly the Baya party's been working overtime trying to get people in both parties to run. Because Mr. Baya lost out on about $300,000 when they a year when they.
I understand it was more than that.
No?
Well,
That was just from the county.
just from the county.
Yeah.
So yeah, I expect you'll see some other names emerging. But I gotta say this: I've rarely endorsed a Democrat for anything. Okay, Sam Stratton in 1970. Bob Moran for mayor in 1983.
Moran was a Democrat?
Yeah. And I think that's it.
That's about it. At the short list.
I mean, I voted for a couple others along the way, but as far as
Really active support of that.
actively supporting, endorsing, working for,
That's it.
that's it. That's it.
So there's nobody for sure from the city.
No. Now, Dominic is from supervisor from St. Johnsville. He's been on the board and supervisor of his town, of course, simultaneously for a long time. He was very active in promoting the idea of this charter commission that I sat on. I think the last thing he thought about at the time was himself running for executive, but
originally he wasn't too keen on the idea of an elected.
But he actively participated all along the way.
Yeah.
He came to every meeting, just about, put his 2 cents in when we asked him. and very knowledgeable guy. And I think he took a look at, after he fully supported our making the decision on where the lines were being drawn for the new county legislature.
Yeah.
We just like wiped them out. Without even, because we weren't considering the personalities. We were considering where the bridges were, how the towns allied, how the school districts lined up, and
Now, what does he do for a living?
I frankly don't even know.
Okay.
I had an idea. Cause
He's old enough to retire, I know that. But,
he did a lot
although
of
he doesn't
traveling.
look it.
He did a lot of traveling between cities. So I think he was an estimator. I'm not positive. I thought he estimated for different construction jobs or
Oh, okay.
something that I'm probably way off base, but that's
Well, this is our podcast. We make things up.
well, that's the thing.
We don't need facts.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Here are some of the negatives I hear about him. Somebody called me up last week, and I hear Stagliano's going to run. I said, well, you'll have to wait till you hear it from him because you're not going to hear it from me. But he says, well, I hear that he goes around from office to office in the county bothering people. So, In other words, he's doing his job because the Board of Supervisors are the executives of the county right now.
Exactly.
And if he's going around trying to find out what people are doing and whether they're doing it right or wrong, that's his job.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a real good thing.
Yeah.
And talking to him, I know he knows an awful lot about how the county is run. He makes it his point.
Business.
It makes it his business to do that.
Yeah.
So that's a plus.
That's a
Oh,
plus.
definitely. He can probably answer more county things than anybody up there as a supervisor.
Absolutely, off the top of his head.
Accurately.
Yeah.
Not these other guys who give you theories and
Right.
what they think.
He's
Right.
practical.
He's
Yeah.
practical. And after he gives you the facts that as he knows them, then he'll give you his opinion. Whether
And-
it's right or wrong.
He always asks questions. He always wants to know. There is nothing more complex than county insurance. Let me tell you, and I think it's designed that way. It was designed that way decades ago by the politicians involved. It used to be the whole purpose of being a party chairman was to get the insurance contract and things like that. I mean, that's just the way it's always been. And he doesn't look at things that way. He looks at what it's going to cost the taxpayers, of all things.
And what's good for the county.
What's
And-
good for the people.
And he, over the last decade, he's been pounding away trying to figure out this insurance stuff. And finally, that insurance trust was put in, I think, more than anything else to isolate even further the decision-making process from the elected officials.
Yeah.
And it turned out all the questions he asked were the right ones, because when they finally got around to taking over the trust and dissolving it, they discovered that there were no accurate books kept over the last 6 years. It's 2007. That they have to reconstruct the books from the checkbook, basically.
Which is half-assed backwards.
Now, and it may take years to uncover it.
Yeah.
And in the process, there's $3 million sitting in a fund.
Nobody knows
who it belongs to. The bills have been paid. So this is surplus funds, but because the trust was partly city, partly county, and along the way, the town of Amsterdam walked its way in without anybody's approval. I think for a while maybe the college may have been in on it, or BOCES or something. But I know there was originally the original plan was to have a lot more than just the city and the county involved. So they've got people working on that, and it's gonna take forever. $3 million. Don't know,
Then what?
You're trying to put together a county budget, and you don't know whether $1 million of that belongs to the county, or $2 million, or $1.5 million, or
Floating around and nobody knows.
floating
what's supposed
around,
to
and the county treasurer doesn't know. So, great. That's just great. That's just great. So, so some of the, let's just say, some of the people who have been entrenched at the county level, Dominic Stagliano infuriates them because he wants to know what's going on. And of course, the new executive will have the power to make appointments and things like that. So some people are scrambling for their own jobs, which I understand.
Yeah.
Anyway, unless somebody better comes along, I'm voting for Dominic.
Well, I can't think of anybody better
Yeah.
in the county, anyway.
Yeah. So,
When do they have to declare by?
well, the petition period starts like June 6th, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6th through.
Through middle of July,
July 14th.
second or third week of July. Yeah.
So by the end of July, all candidates
Oh, yeah.
should
Yeah.
be known.
Should be known.
So I don't know. I've heard. Who knows who's going for what? There's a lot of shifting around. Will Joe Isabel run for alderman again? On what party? Because he switched parties somewhere along the line. I guess he did.
Supervisors. He's looking for supervisors.
Or the county. He can go for the county legislature, which pays more. But that's a district that already includes Butch Grieco and Ron Barone.
No, Barone is in a different.
No. He's in that legislative district.
In the legislative district.
Yeah. So now Barone there's talk that Barone is going to run for alderman for Gina's spot, which would mean, I assume that means Gina's not running. Or maybe Gina will run for the way these things crisscross. It's funny because Ron Barone is one legislative district, Gina's in a different legislative district.
But they're both in the same ward.
But they're both in the same ward. So maybe Gina will run for the county position. Who knows? I'm just making this up. I haven't talked to anybody who said that, but she could.
These are all possibilities.
It's a possibility. There's talk that John DeChesney may run for that one. That district includes, I think, a little bit of the town of Florida, the south side and the west end, and I'm not sure whether it includes the entire Fifth Ward as it now exists or not. I'm not positive. But it does include the west end. So you got a little bit of the town of Florida, the south side and the west end, all in one legislative district now. And Michael says he's not running because there's no hard way to do it this time. Yeah. I suppose you could wait till the last minute and try writing again.
Too easy.
So
unless somebody gets petitions for him without telling him.
Yeah, that he can still decline.
Yeah.
But would he? The people have demanded it. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should.
People have spoken. Yeah.
People have spoken.
And I got to tell you, I was on the I was on the committee that drafted these things. I don't know which legislative district I'm in. I'm right on the border. I'm not sure which I'm in. I think I'm in the same one with Grieco and Barone and Joe Isabel, but I'm not positive.
I don't know. I got to get a map. I meant to go to City Hall this week to get one. I haven't.
Well, you can get it online too.
Can you?
Yeah, go to the county. The county's got it online. Well, anyway, there we are, and we've got that screwy situation with the controller referendum coming up on June 5th, I think.
Is that referendum? Does it include the elected and the committee?
Yeah, I understand. Yes.
It's on the, it's either.
Well, yeah, because if you eliminate the elected controller position, you necessarily change the point of the budget board because the controller was included in that, but you're not going to have an appointed controller sitting sitting on the budget review board. That wouldn't be right.
No, it wouldn't be,
An unelected official can't make budget decisions.
Oh, really?
Officially. Officially.
I was going to say, well, gee, it's funny how that.
Slip right by Jerry. didn't it?
Officially. Whatever that means. So now that referendum either passes or fails. If the referendum fails, this what I call the stealth referendum, then there will be an elected controller in the fall, which will serve out, I guess, 2 years, and take office immediately after the election because it's still a vacant position since Ron Wierzbicki died. So yeah, that would fill that. Yeah, that would fill the term for 2 years, and then the person would have to run again. So then we've got the 5 aldermen are up this year.
But that keeps the budget committee.
Well, it would.
the way
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. It's one referendum, I believe, one local law. Yeah.
And not all the aldermen are up for election this year, are they?
Sure, they are.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They didn't have.
Yeah.
They weren't staggered,
Yeah,
no.
they weren't staggered. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course we'll have the county executive. The how many do we end up with? 9 legislative districts in the county legislature. I should know this. I was on the committee. So it's been a while.
People are going to have a lot of things they're going to have to
All right.
choose.
Right. Plus, all the town supervisors are up this year, which is now a different position. And who's paying attention? That's the next
I don't
thing.
know.
And as we just said, we're in May 17th. We're talking June 6th. They're going to start circulating petitions. Wow. Wow.
And what really gets me is there's no dialogue in the newspaper about what's going on, or their opinions
No.
or other people's opinions. They're going to come up to the last minute.
It used to be, nobody wants these jobs anymore, let's face it.
Exactly.
It used to be that if you wanted to run for office in November, you made your announcement in January or the 1st of February at the latest. So you get to jump on everybody
Yeah.
else, get your name out there, start campaigning. Now it's like, maybe the last day the petitions are filed, you find out who's running.
Yeah.
I don't know how active the county committees are anymore, or nobody wants to run for those positions. But I bolted anyway. Gavin, you're involved in that Historic Amsterdam League, aren't you, a little bit?
Well, very little bit right now, yeah.
Well, you've been busy with the school board stuff.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later. We're doing West End Story this year, and that's coming up pretty quick. What's that, June 1st, right? I believe. Is that a Saturday? Yeah.
It's Friday. Oh, it's January.
That's January. You're looking at January. We haven't changed this since I died.
Yeah, the 1st is a Saturday.
Yeah, 1st of June. So last year,
weeks.
that's right. Last year we did the tours of the South Side. I say we, but I went along for the ride.
But you toured.
But that was great. I don't know if you did that or not, but it was really, really interesting. And this year it's going to be the West End. So I did. I wrote a couple of pieces for the handout on that this year. One on the West End Park and one on the Saoirse Park. And of course you got the Fairview Cemetery in there, and the Saoirse Park's also the site of the old city hospital, which a lot of people remember. St. Mary's Hospital's got a long history, and of course the mansions. on Guy Park all have interesting histories.
Do you know
in there.
which ones are going to be included in?
I don't.
You
I don't. No, I haven't been involved in the planning other than
I would think all the mansions on Guy Park.
I got an email saying, "Would you write this?" and another email saying, "Why haven't you written this yet?" And another email saying,
It's due.
"Yeah, no, saying thank you for sending it."
Okay.
They said they had pictures already, but I submitted the picture of Misha in case they want to run it, the one at the West End
Park.
Memorial.
Now, where are they determining West End is starting?
Well, it starts at the west end of the city.
coming
Where does it finish?
Where's it
I would
finish?
think it probably finishes at Northampton. I would think that constitutes the West End, the old Sixth Ward.
Right. Okay.
But there's a few mansions between.
And of course, you got Guy Park
Yeah.
Manor is in there, and Russo's, and
Some important establishments.
yeah.
I wonder if they got my oven in there. That's not historical.
What's that?
No, that's not.
Your oven's new.
No, that's new. That's a new old.
They'll probably have the firehouse from down there on
Yeah.
Henrietta. That should be in there.
It should be.
Should be.
Should be if
private home now.
the firemen will open it up for the public. Who owns it? The fireman who owns
he
it.
probably would. I think. Does he have the fire truck in there?
I don't know if he's got a truck. He's got a pole in there that was.
He restored a truck. Or I think he finished restoring it, so he may have it in there.
Well, I don't know.
Where did he get the pole from?
Actually, the pole he has is not the pole that was in there. There's some controversy about that because the pole that was in there ended up at the Walter Elwood Museum, and
Sold for scrap?
I don't know what happened to it. I don't know what happened to it, but it's not under the porch at Guy Park Manor anymore. But I think the one he has, if I'm not mistaken, was from the one on, was it Pulaski? Not Pulaski Street.
Yeah, there's one on Pulaski.
It was Pulaski. Was Pulaski Street that had the
corner of Pulaski and what, Hibbert, was it? I don't know. I was stationed there for a while and I don't remember the address.
Yeah, I guess it was Pulaski.
Sam Zerlo lived next door
Is that right?
Yeah.
at one time, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a lot younger than you, though, isn't he?
No, he's not. He's a little older than I am.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just celebrated a birthday. What was it?
80.
No, come on, he's not that old. Come on.
He went to school with my wife. Elaine's 82.
What year
so
did you
he's probably
graduate from high
83,
school?
84.
What was your high school graduation year?
Me?
Yeah.
52. Or 51.
Okay. Oh, yeah, all right. So he would have been. Yeah, he's a few years older than you. He would have been like 48 because I think he was in Korea in 51.
Elaine is 2 years older than me, and she graduated with Sam. So Sam may be a same age or a year or two older.
Yeah.
So he's got to be 83, 84.
5. You know how I'm trying to figure this in my head?
How are you trying to figure in your head?
Because Gene Katina, when he was in junior high school, was mayor for the day, okay? And I came across that clipping, and it was like, I think on the same page that Fred Partika was announcing he was running for mayor, so it had to have been 45. So if Gene was in 8th or 9th grade in 45, and he was in Sam's class, so they were classmates.
Gene was 82.
Yeah. Okay. And you're how old then?
81
Oh, okay. So yeah, there you go.
in October.
That's a good age.
It is a good age, I guess.
Same birthday as Joe Emanuel.
But different.
He's that old?
Yeah. Don't he act it?
Yeah. God, you're older than his father, for God's sakes. Maybe. Yeah, he must be. Yeah. Joe's name has been mentioned as running for county executive, but I haven't heard that from him or anybody close to him. I think it may be just speculation as to who would run. You would think that you would look to one of the existing supervisors, I think, who are in the Bay party to be running. That would be Barone, who apparently is going to run for alderman, DeMezza, who apparently is just going to run for town supervisor, Butch Grieco, who seems to be running for re-election,
Yeah.
Barbara Wheeler, I suppose, is a possibility. She's in an election district with Stark.
Yeah, she was mentioned in a conversation, and I forgot what the position was that she was going to run for.
Well, that was enlightening. That said no more than I said. No, I mean, she's a
Just
possibility.
confirming what you said.
Yeah. And beyond that, what have you got? You know, somebody from the outside, you know.
Yeah.
Peter Capabianco would be maybe a choice. You know, I think maybe he's tired of working. He's retired twice now.
I don't think he wants anything to do with the county anymore.
Yeah, that could be. On the other hand, he doesn't particularly get along with Dominic, so maybe this would give him a little spurt. Pat Beck is always mentioned as a possibility.
She'd be good at whatever she chose to do. She'd be very good at whatever she chose to do.
Well, she's a very talented woman. Anybody who can keep a local newspaper afloat the way she has got obviously has got some talents.
Not only afloat, it's riding pretty high on the water.
Yeah, well, there you go. But then, she's mentioned every time there's a position open because, for that reason.
Right.
Yeah. Carol Constantino's happy in Florida. I don't think she's coming back, except to visit. Well, who knows? It's grand speculation, or maybe nobody will run. Maybe Dominic will have a free ride. I think it's interesting. Bethany Schumann McGee, who was a Democratic county chair, with whom we've had some disagreements in the past, the shady cat stuff. She gave him a really ringing endorsement in the paper today,
Yes.
and that's also impresses me as maybe being a shot over the bow to anybody else in the party who might be considering running against
keep
him.
her head low.
I've heard Paul Perillo's name mentioned, and not from him. And I've eaten at his place, and then I haven't heard it from him, but I've heard his name mentioned. And of course, he's a Democrat as well. But once the first guy announces,
Then,
it's hard to get in at that point.
but then it makes everybody else come forward and voice their opinion of maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it.
Yeah, well, it's a point where they have to decide fast, or they're out of the picture before it starts. It's funny how that works. I mean, there was an open seat when I ran for family court, and I just held back, waiting for Gene Katina to announce he wasn't running before I announced I was running. Because he'd been there 2 terms, and and then the other guy announces before Gene said anything or I said anything, and I announced immediately thereafter, because I went to see Gene. He said, "No, I'm not running." Okay. So that was like the same day.
Who was the other guy?
Jeff Rosenthal. I didn't think it was necessary for the conversation, but it was the other guy.
Oh, okay.
The other guy. So Gene says, "Yeah, I'm not running." So I announced like right away, and I like immediately go see somebody to tell them I'm running. I can't remember who it was, and the first thing I hear is, "Well, I thought Rosenthal was a candidate." Why? Because he announced yesterday. I'm announcing today. But it's funny how people think. They just expect the party to make the decisions for them, and
Just vote the.
and no one would dare announce it unless they were already the preordained candidate, because they all know it's all done in the back room. God, that was.
A lot of things are done in the back room.
Speaking of which, what's going on with the school board?
Nice segue, Bob.
Well, the election is this Tuesday, right?
Tuesday is the budget vote and election.
Any other referenda other than the budget?
Yeah, there's a referendum to give $5,000 to the Fort Hunter Library again.
Fort Hunter Library.
Yeah.
Has that been up before?
Yes, it has. And it's never passed.
Okay. But they're entitled to
Yes, they are.
file for the petition themselves.
Yep.
So that did not originate with the school board.
No, that doesn't come
Okay.
from us.
All right.
So it'll be interesting. You know, we've got 5 candidates running this time. There's 2 incumbents.
Who are the 2 incumbents?
Carol Greco and John Battisti.
Okay, they each served 1 term,
They've.
or is Carol
I
been in
think-
place?
This might be Carol's 2nd term she's been on.
And
She was on before I.
they both have a relative on the, employed by the school, I believe.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, as many on the board do. But the people on the school board who have relatives, had relatives on the, work for the district when they originally ran, and they were elected. So that in and of itself is not a disqualifier. There's lots of things people...
I'm sure I've got relatives working for the
It's not
school
a
district.
officially, it's not a disqualifier.
It's not a disqualifier legally.
No, that's.
It's not a disqualifier at the time that those people ran because they were elected. And if it was, they would not have been
I'm
elected.
trying to think of any of the candidates that don't have relatives working for the school
There's
district.
a couple. There's a
Yes,
couple.
Leon Gray, right on the board, he's the only one that doesn't have a relative.
No, I don't mean on the board. I mean
But
that
people
are
who are
running
running?
this time.
Yeah, there's 2.
There's 2 candidates that
I
don't
don't
have.
remember the name.
Now,
But even
is
the three of them
the woman who worked for the United
NYSERD?
Teachers still running
Yes,
again this year?
Yes, she is.
And what's
Yes, she
what's
is.
her name?
Han is her last name.
Okay.
She ran, I think somebody said yesterday that this is her 3rd time running. She is,
Second, I believe.
I know it's twice, but somebody said she did run the year
Yeah.
before too.
Well,
But
maybe.
anyhow, she's run before unsuccessfully, and she's running again. She has, she's from the Marie Curie district. Her children go to Marie Curie. You know, there's lots of things people can, in their own mind, say, well, that's a disqualifier. They shouldn't be running for the school board. You know, you've got a relative in the school district. You were a former teacher in the school district. You were a former administrator in the school district. But
Hey,
likewise,
so far you're 3 for 3, Gavin. Keep going.
I have a
And you,
child.
and you also came in number 1.
I have a child. I have a child in the school
That's
district.
right. You have a child in the school district.
I am a taxpayer in the school district.
Wow. You own a
okay?
house in the school district, right?
So you know
Anyway.
those things on themselves should not disqualify a candidate. What should is somebody who simply comes in with a preconceived notion of exactly what their agenda is and work only towards that agenda. That should be a disqualifier, because ultimately there's many factors that need to be taken into consideration.
Right. You need to educate the children, for one
Yeah,
thing.
you have to educate the children. You have to be educated about the budget. You have to be educated about the contracts, what can and can't be
Right.
done. And many of those things that cannot be done are because of education law that exists in New York State that does not exist other places. For example, the Triborough Agreement.
Yeah.
Because of that, a lot of things really are cut in stone, and you have to begin to work around those things. So there's lots of things, but it'll be interesting to see if the 2 incumbents are not elected. Then I would say that's because majority of the people are opposed to some of the things that are being done in the school district, not the least of why
And have
is the cost of education that is developed in the budget. So we'll
All right,
see
so
what
you got
happens.
you got the 2 incumbents. You got the woman who's run before. Who
Yeah.
are the 2 newcomers?
A gentleman by the name of Vanette, who I know nothing about, and there's a woman that I don't know anything about her. They did have an article in the paper last weekend. 4 of the candidates were profiled in the paper about their views and experiences and likes and dislikes of the school district. Carol Greco was not included in there because she didn't respond when the recorder called to speak to her about these things. So it'll be interesting to see if that plays any part of getting elected or not getting elected.
Wow.
Um, you know,
Anybody watching the time? Oh, lots of
Yeah,
time.
lots of time.
Oh my gosh. We started a little early today.
yeah, we were right on time, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, who gets elected, and whether the budget passes or doesn't pass. Last year it was a moderately heavy vote that came out. There were a little over 2,000 people that voted last year, which statistically is pretty low when you consider the number of people who are eligible.
Well, right. But in compared to recent years.
In terms of real numbers, that was, that was pretty high. So we'll see how it goes this time. The polls are open noon to 9 on Tuesday, and all the usual locations throughout the city, depending upon where you live. Where do you vote, Bob? Living Center?
This week?
At the Living Center, is that where you go?
The last time we voted at the, they moved everything to Century Club.
Yeah, but they're back to the old locations. I don't think we're at the Century Club. We're at the Living Center.
The Living Center.
Really?
Yeah. Really. Honest.
I didn't think the Living Center had any polling places last time.
They didn't. They went to the Century Club for some reason. I don't know what that was, because they did consolidate some of the places last time when they voted on the referendum for the budgets.
Right.
But we'll be back at the Living Center. Is that normal?
Oh,
in the
boy.
past, is that where you normally vote?
Well, in the past,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, then that's where we'll be voting,
Yes, I
this
mean,
time.
and in the past, I used to vote at the Bacon School,
Yeah,
which,
yeah.
why the heck can't we vote there anymore? The building's open now. They're using
Yep.
it.
I don't
know.
That's above my pay grade. I don't know how they determine those.
And of course, the stealth referendum on the city controller is only being held at one place, at City Hall.
Now, well, I think that's probably because of the ample parking available at City Hall. Which will be difficult in itself to get to with all the construction.
It's going to be on a Tuesday, I believe, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah.
It's going to be while the place is open, while business is going on.
That means there'll be no place to park.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Maybe that's the whole idea. People,
You can't park on the street.
no. Well, there's a parking lot across the street.
Just get the city employees to park. Hey, excuse me, the parking lot across the street belongs to the Walter Elwood Museum.
Speaking of Walter Elwood Museum, I see that the Indian Museum is going to be open.
It is. We had a board meeting last night, so every couple of weeks I go over and take a look at the place anyway, how it's come along. It's really coming along nice. We're probably not going to be open as a museum until August or something, because we're doing it right. We're painting the rooms bit by bit, but the offices are all done and functioning. The main entranceway is done except for the future decorations, which we're doing. There's a couple of large items that are owned by the museum that can only go in certain places. And the debate is whether to put the moose directly as you walk in on the wall, directly as you walk into the place, or the walrus with the full tusks. But we've got room for the moose, the walrus, and an elk, I think, or something. So, because that's one of the few places that's got really high ceilings, and as an entranceway, it's that'd be a spectacular entrance. There's a nice chandelier there. That entranceway's been carpeted and painted. Looks really nice. Got a nice red paint with the antique chandelier. Really good. And then we've been bringing truckloads of stuff up from our temporary quarters at Facilos.
Now, are they adding things to the Indian Museum, or is it going to be pretty much as it's been?
The Indian Museum will be pretty much as it's been. That's still owned by Noteworthy, but it's being operated by us, by the Walter Elwood Museum. So that's all been spiffed up, cleaned up, and done some minor repairs to the place.
Who's going to be, Ann's going to be in charge running that during the summer?
Yes. Yes, and I understand there's several people who volunteered to help with that as well. So yeah. And Ann will be the tour guide on Saturday. So yeah, that's part of the deal. We're going to operate the Indian Museum in addition to the Walter Elwood Museum. And who knows, we might pick up a couple other museums along the way too. Might want to locate in our vast facility. So
That would be great.
I believe the
How about
well.
the Hall of Fame, Wrestling Hall of Fame?
Well, did you see they're painting their buildings downtown in time for the spring
Yeah.
fling tomorrow. Yeah, it's probably done at this point. Yeah. Speaking of spring fling, as long as we're on the subject,
Yes, why don't we talk about the spring fling?
tomorrow at the spring fling on Saturday, May the 18th, I will be appearing at the Book Hound.
There you go.
You know, I'm looking at this backwards on the monitor. Appearing at the Book Hound on Main Street. I guess it's only called Main Street now. They did away with East Main. The section,
Did they?
yeah, the section from the mall to Market Street is now just Main Street. And West Main starts past that, and East Main starts the other way. So on Main Street at the Book Hound, I'll be there from 10 to 4 or until the books run out, whichever comes sooner. Hopefully,
The books will run out.
the books will run out, and so get down there early if you want a copy. Otherwise, you're going to have to go online because I haven't got any in the pipeline at the moment. I just got a bunch yesterday in preparation for tomorrow. So anyway, the book is Where Do We Find Such Men? It's my book about Amsterdam in World War II. And immediately following the program today, I'll be going over to do an interview with the lovely Rebecca Webster over at the Recorder about the
nice.
book. And I understand Mr. Cudmore is doing one of his weekend articles in the Gazette on the subject as well. I don't know whether
wow.
it's this weekend or some future weekend, but
We'll have to buy it on the weekend then.
well, once we find out what is in there, So anyway, that's what we're doing for fun.
Well, fun's an important thing to do.
What else is going on around town here? Gee, beautiful day today.
Couple weeks, the Mohawks be opening up at
June the 6th, their home opener. Yeah.
that's a good thing.
And I think their June the 5th is their away opener. I'm
Yeah.
not sure where it is.
Night before, correct.
Always a good thing. You notice I'm not talking about the Red Sox this week, although they did win a couple of games recently.
2 out of what? 10?
No, it was worse than they were like 2-12 at one point. Yeah, they went from 3 games up to 3 games down, and no rhyme or reason to it. Just everything collapsed simultaneously. But in any event, we're not talking about it.
They got plenty of time to recover. Happy Wells is still with the White Sox.
You sure?
Yeah, he got hit the other day.
Yeah, that was the other day. Yeah, but we already did that on the Tuesday show.
Oh,
That
okay.
hit. Has he got another hit since then?
No, I'm not sure he's gotten in since then.
Casper. The 26th man.
Still playing in the major leagues.
Still in the major leagues, so yeah.
Everyone's
Still collecting a major league salary.
Yeah, that's a plus.
Yeah, maybe the minimum, but it's not a bad minimum to have. Not a bad minimum.
I'll bet he's past the minimum because he's got some time in. Well, maybe the minimum for the time he's got in.
Yeah.
And the minimum ain't bad.
It ain't bad.
No.
It's more than the county administrator makes, for example.
But he's worth it, though.
More than your average alderman,
Yeah.
unless you're in New York City. I don't know.
That's only because you got friends with deep pockets.
Well,
Yeah. But
anyway, I think on the second hour I want to talk a lot about the national stuff because there's so much interesting
So much.
going on nationally and internationally. And what the heck? Oh, let's talk about a state thing I saw in the paper this morning. Cuomo made a deal with the Indians.
the Oneidas, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Now, first of all, this is what I don't like. Do things the right way. The state constitution prohibits casinos. That has not been repealed. They keep talking about it. so they get around this by putting the casinos on sovereign Indian territory.
However,
Right? But wait, that's how they get around it.
so far
That's
how
the
I've gotten around
theory.
it. Yeah.
So the big deal with the Turning Stone Casino is it's not on sovereign Indian property. The Indians own it. The tribe bought the land, but it's not part of their territorial lands in central New York. So that it is not recognized as a separate independent Indian nation.
No, it's not. It's not.
And therefore, which you'd think they would have thought of before they put the zillion-dollar building up, right? So because of that, they're in a bad position to
Negotiate.
They're in a tough position to negotiate. Now, we used to go to Rochester and Points West a lot. Jamie went to school at RIT. My brother's in Victor, this side of Rochester. My wife's aunt lived on the other side of Buffalo. So we went that route quite a bit, and we would always stop in Canastota to get gas, because they had an Indian gas station there on sovereign Indian territory where they didn't have to charge state sales tax. So they were always about 15 cents cheaper than the mobile station across the road. How that stayed in business, I don't know. Well, as part of this ongoing negotiation, because their casino is in fact illegal, they've agreed to raise the gasoline prices and their cigarette prices to match those of the competitors. Okay? Now, you say, boy, this is a great sacrifice. Yeah, except they still don't have to pay the sales tax. All they're doing is staying competitive, but they can charge.
They get the extra money.
They get the extra 50 cents. But they're not doing the volume that they were before.
But still, it's extra money in their pocket.
That's money in their pocket. And so the deal they announced is the state is getting like a quarter of the revenues from the slots.
Yeah.
And part of which is shared with the county that it's in, and a one-time $11 million payment to the adjoining county, who had also sued them. It's all wrong.
And the other part of the thing is the Oneida is going to have to be paying $50 million to the state, but they're getting the settlement on 25,000 acres of disputed land up there.
Yeah, well, yeah, those types of things need to be settled. I don't have a problem with that. Those are always legitimate legal issues as to who owns what.
It's all about the money.
But it's all about the money.
All about the money. And they did say that
So everybody comes out okay in this, except for the Constitution of the state of New York,
now
which is completely ignored.
So what happens when they put the casino in Saratoga?
It's illegal. I think what they're doing at the track is illegal.
Yeah, but they have to change. They have to pass an amendment to the state constitution,
which requires 2 state legislatures and a vote of the public.
Which means it should be a while down the road before it goes up, but they'll start putting it up.
Oh yeah, they'll start putting it up.
No, they're just going to ignore it. That's what I'm saying. They've gotten into the process of ignoring it. Don't they have slot machines at Saratoga Raceway now?
Sure they do.
Right. That's not legal.
Video gaming.
That's not legal under the Constitution. No one's ever approved that.
Well, they call it something different now. They don't call it.
Oh, they're going to call it something
video
different.
Lottery.
Video lottery. They don't call them slot machines.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. And now they're talking, maybe part of the deal to put the casino on Long Island and
they
stuff
want to
like
keep
that.
away from
what Indians own Long Island?
Long Island, the Shinnecock.
Is there really?
Yeah, really.
Oh, okay.
And the Montauk. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is a reservation on Long Island. It's about the size of 2 city blocks, but there is a reservation on Long Island. Honest Injun.
And is that where the casino would be?
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. If they say, "Well, wait a minute, if we can't do it, how come the Oneidas get to do it?" Right?
They talked to Jerry. Jerry probably
Jerry said it was okay.
he made a ruling that.
All right. One more state thing. I see there's some pressure on Speaker Silver to resign over this Lopez, Sullivan Lopez scandal, which has been going on for some time. I'm not sure why it's suddenly reaching the news this week.
Well,
Well, that's because of the federal sexual cases that are going on, so they jumped on the bandwagon.
and there was something in the paper this morning that Silver was going to propose legislation to have
Oh.
Lopez expelled.
Oh, well, that's right. They're shocked.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I'll get rid of the guy that's worse than I am, and everybody think I did something, even though I'm pretty bad myself.
Oh, my gosh. And more of that on the national level when we come back. Anyway, that about does it for this hour
Yeah.
of the show with no name. I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha and Gavin Murdoch, and we'll be back shortly with more of the show with no name.